Hi guys, so Mark here from CrossFit Essendon, and today we have Adam on the video call. Adam's going to chat about his progress and what he went through with our most previous 12-week nutrition program. So this is a nutrition program set up for our members of CrossFit Essendon to, work on their nutrition, work on their body composition, and learn strategies and techniques and the science behind losing weight and also gaining muscle. So as you can see on the screen here right now, Adam had pretty good success with the program. I think he lost, what was that, Adam, about 8 or 9 kilos?
Yeah, around about that one.
About that, cool. Yeah, man. So basically, just give us a rundown, like how did you feel before you started the program, and how do you feel now in comparison?
Yeah, I mean, before starting, I hadn't basically done anything with regards to my nutrition for probably 10 years or more. The program itself, I learned quite a bit. There was quite a few surprises. One of the things that, it's as small as it sounds, meat for vegetarians, were sort of always mushrooms and all that sort of stuff. I always thought mushrooms were high in protein, but I've quickly learned that that's not actually the case.
Yeah.
And just, in general, meal preparation and getting back into the kitchen again after such a long period of time, not relying on such high sources of carbohydrates like pasta, because it was quick and easy. Getting in and cooking different things. So in addition to losing weight, I've kind of regained some interest in, new flavors and all that sort of stuff too, which is probably a side benefit of all.
And I guess straight off the bat, if you had to give anyone some advice, if they're trying to lose weight, if they're trying to drop, 8-10 kilos, like what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them straight away before starting that?
Consistency, I think, and making sure that you don't have all of the temptations in your cupboard. So, at the beginning, I essentially went through and got rid of all of the stuff that I shouldn't have been eating. So because it wasn't around, when I was hungry, I was eating a piece of fruit or an apple or something like that instead of going to the cupboard and grabbing a packet of chips or some biscuits and things along those lines.
Okay. And I guess how did that nutrition routine change along the way? Like what sort of things were you making and creating for yourself during the week for your eating?
Yeah, I relied a lot on the MyFitnessPal app, some of the recipes and things that were in there. In addition to Simply Fresh, I think that's what it's called. They were sort of doing deliveries for me every week. And because I primarily relied on that as, I guess, my primary source of food, it meant that, I wasn't going to the shops, I wasn't walking down the aisles and pulling things off that I didn't necessarily need.
Yeah.
And the benefit of that as well is, it sort of allowed me to prepare lunch for the next day. So I wasn't doing huge meal preps, trying to prep the entire week. What I was more doing was sort of doing, I guess, probably a 24-hour, 48-hour period based around the Simply Fresh stuff. And the Simply Fresh, they have different types of meal options as well. So you can pick high protein, you can pick, low calories. All that sort of stuff, but you have to set that up in your profile within the app so that what they present to you on screen is aligned to that sort of regime.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So guys, what we'll do is we're going to go through a few things with Adam's situation, because Adam had a bit of a unique thing, is that initially when he started the program is he went and got a Dexa scan, which, can you see that on the screen now, Adam? The Dexa scan results? Can you see that on the screen? Yeah, cool. So a Dexa scan is a body scan which can measure how much bone, muscle, and fat you have in your body. So we're going to go through that in a little bit, which I think will be really cool to look at. But initially, what we'll go through is just a few measures that Adam took. And the good thing about Adam is that he tracked everything really well, on his phone and through our tracking sheet as well. So you can see that along the way, his starting weight was at 93 kilos. He went down to 85.1. A change of around 8 kilos now. Now, what you can see is that, initially he had some really good success, and then his results started to plateau out. And I'm assuming here, Adam, is that here is when you change your calories a bit more? Is that when you drop your calories more so at this point?
Yeah, just dropped it a little bit more. Yeah, and there was a couple of weeks in there as well where I wasn't measuring as frequently. So, if I had a day where it's a little bit higher, then it would reflect here in the graph as well as an overall trend. It would be an outlier.
Yeah. But as we can see is that there were a few plateaus here. So there was a plateau here where it plateaued out, and then it dropped out again. It plateaued out again, and then there was a nice even decline there. And then one more plateau before you got to your goal weight, which was 85.1. What I wanted to chat about, I think what's really cool with Adam is that we have some obviously a bit of an example meal plan of what he went through during a daytime. So we're not going to really go too much into, you know, the exact foods and what he ate and all that sort of stuff. But what we can see is we can see the summaries here at the top. So we can see that after a full day of eating is that he was still under calories by about 372. So he was in the green. He could probably consume about 372 calories. His carbs were slightly over. His fat was still under, but his protein, I think that's the one to point out the most, is that his protein was still low by 62 grams. And Adam, you said that this was pretty much like an exact day of eating for you. Is that this sort of routine would always be the same?
At the beginning, I was substituting my protein with a lot of like white meat, fish, and all that sort of stuff. And then sort of as I started to get I got a bit sick of doing that, put it that way. You lose sort of taste for the same types of protein top-ups. I just wasn't tracking it as closely, I guess. Then I also started to rely a lot more on the Simply Fresh too than what I was at the beginning. And so then, you know, if I didn't have the extra chicken breast or the extra, you know, bit of steak or whatever on the side, then, you know, I just didn't have another protein source other than the whey protein, which I was taking.
Okay. So the reason why I bring this up, guys, is because, you know, protein is essential to be building and to be maintaining our muscle mass. So whenever we're trying to lose body fat, to lose body fat, we need to be going into a calorie deficit. And that means we need to be restricting our calories. Now, what that means is that essentially we're more prone to first lose body fat, but also lose muscle as well. And this is why optimizing your protein intake with this sort of a diet is going to be really important, because that's going to help maintain the muscle that you have. And this brings us over to Adam's Dexa scan, which is basically his body scan. Now, he initially did his scan in January before he started the program, and then just when finishing the program. Now, what we can see is that if we scroll down to this page here, these first two areas here, so that's his body fat. So this is his body fat percentage, and this is his total fat mass in weight. Okay, so as you can see, his percentage body fat went down 24.2 to 22.3, and his fat mass went down from 22474 down to 19255. So these areas here. So awesome result, and that's what you obviously want when you're going into a diet, is that you want to reduce your body fat. Now, what we can see is that when we go over to lean mass, which is also muscle, is that his lean mass started at a total of 67,062 grams, and that also went down. It went down to 63,753. So he lost roughly about 500 grams there. And what that says is that potentially your protein intake, Adam, might not have been optimal for your diet, because as you can see from this graph here, is that yes, your fat mass did go down, but also did your lean muscle mass as well. Okay, now this only becomes a problem if we become a chronic dieter. So if you are always dieting over and over, and if you're always in that calorie deficit for say 6 months to 12 months, then eventually your muscle is going to go down as well as your fat mass. Okay. Yep. So potentially in the future, like when you do another body cut, is that making sure that your protein is adequate, because ideally that's going to help maintain your muscle mass as opposed to dropping it in this situation.
Yep.
Okay. What else do we have here? But other than that, like really good DEXA scan results. You can see that he's got good readings here with his body fat. It's obviously gone down. Now, because your body fat is still above that 20% mark, Adam, I'd probably try and do another fat loss phase in the future as well. I know you're gearing up to go into a muscle gain phase now, but definitely like another fat loss phase would help get that below 20%.
Yep. Okay. I think what was interesting with the Dexa scan, if you go further down, Mark, where you see the body image.
This one here.
Yeah. A little bit further, it shows basically where it's come from. So if you go,
this one here.
My right arm, the legs.
Yeah.
You know, it shows the composition overall. So certainly around my waist.
Yeah, definitely around there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, in the orange, which was good. And during the Dexa scan, the guy could actually see some of my past injuries just based on my left arm versus right arm.
Yeah.
You know, my shoulder, I had an injury when I was younger, and the guy was able to see all of that just from looking at all these stats.
Okay. And was there a visceral fat reading here? I'm not sure if I saw that. It's probably down here. Visceral fat. Where is that? Did he talk about visceral fat?
No, not really.
Total body fat. I'm assuming it's one of these ones. I think it might be this one. So I think it's that visceral. I think that might be at VAT. I'm assuming that's your previous one, 135, and it's gone down to 119. So the visceral fat is the amount of fat around your internal organs. So the amount of fat like around this section here, around your stomach area and around your internal organs. So that is the fat which is most problematic to our health. It can really cause a lot of issues such as, diabetic, metabolic disease, high blood pressure, a lot of not so good things with our health. And, when we're ideally doing a weight loss phase, is that we want to try and get this down, as you've done so here, which is great.
Yeah, I can just see that what he's added on in red further down. You can see VAT is definitely visceral fat. He's got to put the key there for us. So yeah.
Oh, there you go. That is visceral fat. Yeah. So recommended below 100. So you've still got a bit of work to do. So 119, not bad, obviously improved. Awesome. So what are your plans now? You're planning to do another muscle gainer?
Yeah, that's the idea. Start doing muscle gainer, bring things up a bit.
And just to give people a bit more insight about your calories and all that, like how much were your calories on towards the end of your cut, towards the end of that 12-week cycle?
I didn't really adjust too much, to be honest. I'd have to have a look at my fitness pal. But you can see sort of as I started to peak, I would make a minor adjustment and tweak it down. Yeah. But otherwise, I stayed pretty consistent.
And how many calories were you on roughly? Was it 1,800, 1,700?
Less than 1,700, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. So 1706.
Okay, and you were able to just drop pretty consistently on 1706.
Yep.
Awesome, cool. And what are your macros at right now? What have you increased to increase muscle?
I haven't done much of that yet, so that's something I need to start this week.
Okay.
Is adjusting all of that, and adjusting my intake as well.
Yeah. So I'd slowly increase it. So maybe just bump up to like 1850, 1900. And I'd probably just start making some like small jumps each and every week, just until you start to gain that weight. Okay. Cool. All right, mate. Anything else to say to any viewers watching regarding your progress, or any tips and advice you could give them?
No, I mean, I think the Dexa scan is probably a good way to actually see more than just a single number, which is obviously what you see on the scales. So for me, it was important to be able to track all of the metrics, not just by looking at myself, but having a scan like this. So certainly at the end of the next phase, I'll get another one done, and then
sure,
baseline. After
that'd be really cool to see as well.